Peace everyone, Unmask here, and welcome back to the Drawing Journal. Alright everyone, I hope that you had a great weekend. It's a pretty nice weekend for me. And today I'm going to continue working on this pastel portrait study. I've gotten quite a bit of it done so far. I decided that for today I wanted to change directions a little bit and work on the shirt, and I'm going to skip over the hair for now and then get back to it once I finish the shirt, just so that I can have this picture fully framed and have everything pretty much filled out, and then I just got to go in and do those last little bit of details and correcting some of the colors, adjusting my contrast, all that really fun stuff. Hello Hildy, thanks for coming by the live stream, always glad to see you. Silvern, hello, thank you for coming. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do, if I can grab this pencil, I'm going to take this dark maroon color. This is 330, and I'm going to come in here, I'm going to draw some of the creases in the clothing. Hello Stephanie, glad to see you here. So I'm just going to use this color to draw in the creases of the shirt, and then I'll use a brighter red, kind of the base color red, for the rest of it. And then start working in some of the highlights and the shadows of the shirt. Oh goodness, Michael Vignac, Moni, good to see you. Thank you for coming. Yeah, I usually start my live streams a little bit early. Once I get set up, I get a little bit too anxious to just sit here and wait for the clock to tick down. So I schedule them the best that I can, but I really just like to start when I have it set up. I've been spending all morning working on the Intro to Color Pencil course. I'm working on all the details I have. So there's going to be 5 projects. I'm not going to reveal too much now because hopefully by Thursday I'll put out a video kind of announcing it or something like that. And then hopefully next week I will spend all week kind of offline, just recording and getting the projects done and everything like that. So the course is finally coming along. It's a little overdue, but hopefully you all will see it soon, because I'm anxious to get it done. It's kind of been I've been having a lot of trouble getting to it, balancing all the things that I have to do each week and then trying to sneak that in there. So I've kind of put all of my editing back on the back burner, which I'm going to have to try to catch up with eventually. But hopefully I'm really hoping I can get this course ready by the end of the month so that you can actually buy it before this month is over. That's what I'm really hoping for. But other than that, not a whole lot going on. I'm going to try to make a couple videos this week. One video that I'm going to make is actually the end portion of a drawing tutorial that I did over on Patreon. So if you support me on Patreon and you were there for the last couple weeks for the Friday tutorials, I'm working on a tree frog right now in mixed medium. So we started out the first week, I did all the base coloring with markers, and then this past Friday I did the colored pencil portion of it, and it's starting to come together really, really well. The last little bit of detail that we need to do is add the bright white highlights to make the frog look kind of slimy and frog-like. And I'm going to be doing just a really small video, really brief video, adding those last little bit of highlights using the touch-up texture in titanium white. And so I figured I'd do a kind of an introduction video for anybody that is unfamiliar with those products, because they're so fantastic that I have to make sure that people are aware of them. So I'm going to do that this week. I'll probably record and possibly just upload the video tomorrow, depending on how the editing goes, because I always like my editing to be top notch, you know. Hello, Chrissy. All right, I'm going to grab my bright red now, kind of just my true red, and I'm going to outline her shirt. I didn't want to do the outline with the darker color because I didn't want to have to work right over top of that. So I'm going to use the color that I want her shirt to be, which is this bright red, and I'm going to work really slowly because I want to make sure that my edges are nice and crisp and clean. So I'm just going to continue to add layers until I get that smooth edge. This is really going to help frame this portrait so it doesn't look like just a floating head. It will look a little bit more complete. And I think today's probably going to be the last day that I work on this. I might try another portrait. I had a lot of fun with this one, but I think what I might do for the next one is maybe zoom in a little bit, maybe focus a little bit more on the face, and be able to control the details a bit more and try to really get the portrait to look a bit more realistic. I mean, it looks fairly realistic now, but I think that if I drew the face a bit larger on the piece of paper, I think I could get a bit more realism. But I tell you what, this was a really good practice for my first portrait in pastels, and hopefully you guys that have been watching the process of this, you know, come to life has learned some things at least by watching me. So hopefully it's been reasonable helpful. All right. I really like the colors of this portrait, so I'm happy to do it in pastels because the colors are just so vibrant. Anyways, so let's see, what was I really have no idea what I was going to talk about today. The weather has been very cold here. Summer is definitely over in Poland, that is for sure. It's barely been able to get to 20 degrees, and it's hard to even sit in my flat without wearing a hoodie or something like that. So summer is officially over, which means it's perfect time of the year to start creating new pieces. I hope I can start working on an original piece, like a larger project. I would really like, I've been kind of playing around with the idea of maybe doing like a large scale pastel piece. Really no idea. I have no ideas what it would be of, but just something original. Maybe some kind of landscape with a person in it, with an animal, just a lot of detail, just something big. I would love to just take, I don't know, like 3 weeks and just work on a personal project and just create something fun and interesting. Anyone knows what is better to work on, Mi Tinta or the Mitenta Touch? So it depends. That's a good question because those papers are very, very different. If you're working with pastels, yes, just like Kiyomi said, the Mitenta Touch is much better with pastels. You can also use the Mitenta Touch with colored pencils, and it does work quite well. So I worked with the Mitenta Touch paper when I was working on that apple. Remember a few weeks ago when during the drawing journals I was drawing that apple, and I was using the brush and pencil textured fixative spray and the powder blender. The Canson Mitenta paper, the pastel paper, it's okay if you want to just kind of practice some things on and you're not really concerned about it lasting, because you get a really weird texture if you use pastels on it. But I would definitely recommend the Mitenta Touch over the regular Mitenta paper. Yeah, I also prefer the Pastelmat, which is what I'm working on now, opposed to the Mitenta Touch. Yeah, that's a good question because paper is a really, really important subject when it comes to whether you're working with colored pencils or you're working with pastels. Paper is a really important subject to discuss because the wrong paper choice can determine whether or not you like a medium or hate a medium. So choosing the right one can be, it can be frustrating if you struggle to find the right kind of paper, and then you go out and you buy something and you don't like it. All right, let's put that red away, and I think I'm going to grab kind of an orange red in my block here and fill in a bit of this space. Yeah, paper, when it comes to working with colored pencil, keeping on the subject of paper, I think that paper becomes like a really personal choice when you work with colored pencils specifically. And what I always recommend is trying out a bunch of different kinds of paper, because some people really like to use the hot pressed watercolor paper with colored pencils, but I can't stand it. I like the smoother, less absorbent papers like the Bristol Smooth or the Valium. So yeah, that's what I prefer. And some people, they prefer the more toothier paper, or even the sanded paper or the gessoed paper. So I always recommend, when the subject of paper ever comes up, I always recommend people experiment with their paper choices, because most of the time you can buy paper as a single sheet, and then you can just test it out and see how you like it, do a little drawing on it, and then try another one. Even now, even though I have like my favorite paper, I still do it. Sometimes I'll come across a new paper and I'll be like, I'm going to give this a try. And I have a couple sheets of paper that I've never even tried before in my drawer over there. I just haven't gotten around to do it. I've actually been thinking of doing a video on paper specifically, like what's the best paper for colored pencils. And I would just test out all the paper that I use and basically explain everything that I'm explaining right now. Just that, paper is a personal choice, and, depending on the style in which you draw and the kind of texture that you like, you're going to choose a different paper than other people. There's not like there's a right paper and a wrong paper to use. Although, in some cases there actually are. Hello, Elise. What is everyone's favorite paper to use for colored pencil work? I'm starting out and going through different types of paper. My favorite paper for just colored pencil is kind of a mix. Like, sometimes I like the smoother stuff, like the Bristol plate, the Strathmore Bristol plate, and most of the time I'm working on the Stonehenge vellum paper. Those are the two papers that I really enjoy working on. The Bristol Smooth, you're going to find, so with the Bristol Smooth paper, what you have to look out for is that you can't layer as much, like maximum 5 layers on that paper, whereas with the vellum paper you get like 7 or 8 layers. And so you have to be a bit more precise on the smoother paper. You have to know exactly what colors you're going to be using when you're going into it. So just be a bit more mindful, a bit more prepared as far as your plan going into your artwork. So make sure you work out your color chart or your color palette really well. Don't guess on your colors that you need to use throughout your piece. Kind of know ahead of time. That way you're laying down the correct colors the first time, because it's a bit harder to layer over top of those mistakes and cover them up. But I think that you'll enjoy the paper because you can get one of the benefits of the smoother paper is that you can get your colored pencils to blend with the odorless mineral spirits a little bit smoother, a little bit more consistent. It's not as blotchy as what you get with watercolor paper or even the vellum paper in that matter. Because the less absorbent the paper is, the easier it is to spread that pigment out using the paint thinner blending method. So you don't need to use as much paint thinner when you do blend out. You don't need to lay down as much colored pencils in order to blend it out. So there's some upsides to it. But then there's also, the downside that you can't layer as much. So just toy around with it. I recommend maybe doing a small study where you have like a blurry background. Try out the blurry background effect on the smoother paper, and then have your main subject just something, maybe a marble or something like that, something that you want to burnish and get really smooth. See what it's like to burnish on that smoother paper. Alright, let's put this back, and I think I'm going to grab, let's see, I don't know if this is going to be a highlight color. No, that's not really the right one. Maybe this here. Actually, perhaps this. That might be too hot. Yeah, that's too hot. Let's go for this. Yeah, that's the one. Sometimes when you have like red clothing, this is a quick tip. When you have red clothing, sometimes you don't want to use white for the highlights because it will just start to turn your shirt or whatever it is you're coloring, it might just end up turning it more of a pink color rather than preserving that redness that you want. So you can use, I'm using more of a peach skin tone color rather than white to add the highlights to this shirt. Just kind of marking them out a little bit. I don't know why I'm getting so, it's like kind of rough for some reason, that edge. I don't know why. But yeah, just kind of blocking in some of these highlighted areas, building up the layers. I'm going to blend this out in a moment. I need to grab my blender. I forgot to grab the blender before I started streaming, but it should be right in my drawer over there. Hello, Anna. What pastel pencils are my favorite? Oh, that's an easy question there. The Carbothello pastel pencils. Those are my favorite. They're pretty much the best pencils that you can buy, and they're super affordable. So they have those going for them. I've tried the Faber Castell Pit pencils, and they are also very good. However, they're more expensive than the Carbothellos, and I have no idea why. Maybe it's just the region that I live in that makes them a bit more expensive, but for some reason they're more expensive. Don't know why. Alright, I'm going to start adding some darker pink here. Start darkening some of the shadows of this shirt. This shirt's probably going to look a little oversaturated, so I'm going to have to incorporate some grays to tone down these colors. But I'm going to use just the color for now to kind of build up the layers, and then I'll use the gray to tone down some of these colors, because it is a bit too bright right now, and I don't want that. Let's see, who else came to the chat? Charlotte? Yeah, I answered your question. I didn't realize it was you, so welcome. Let's see. The Fabs are more light fast, I believe. I don't know about that. The Carbothellos have the light fast rating printed right on the pencil, and most of them are pretty good, I guess. I think they're rated out of four stars, maybe. Let me see. Or maybe they just have a 1, 2, and 3 star rating. I'm trying to... Wait, no, they got 5-star rating. So they're rated out of 5 stars. And I think most of them are 3 and 4. Quite a few of them are 5 as well. I'm trying to find a 1 or a 2. So let's see. Even the bright yellows are still a 4-star. That's a 4-star. Oh, here's a 2. So one of the blues is just a 2-star. 2 of the blues are the 2-star. So the blues seem to struggle a bit with the light fastness. There's a 3-star. But yeah, you kind of have that problem with pastels anyway. So it's kind of something you just gotta live with, I guess. I'm gonna try to just clean this sponge here. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the background, so I'm just gonna use this to clean my sponge. There. Um, oh, okay, so the Carbothello is more expensive in Australia than the Faber Castells. Yeah, so that's what I thought it could be the region because I know that um, I always recommend, like, when people ask me about colored pencils, like what colored pencils they should get as a beginner, I always recommend the Prismacolors because I can get the full set, or I did get the full set of Prismacolors, all 150 of them, for like $90. And then some people tell me that they see them online for like 300 or something crazy like that. So it really just depends on where you're at, really. Hello, Noah. Glad to see you again in the live stream. Wicked illustration or wicked illusion. All me? No, you're not that late to the stream. It's all good. Glad you made it though. Alright, I'm gonna blend out this shirt real quick. Try to get the paper covered. Get a better idea of what I need to work on. The color, like I said, the colors are not exactly what I want them to be, but I think it's a good base color start for now. Got some of my highlights blocked in, a little bit of my shadows. I'm going to break the shirt up kind of based on the wrinkles, but I need to figure out what colors I need to use because it's kind of the shadows have like a dark purple to them, and the highlights kind of have that peachy pink. Probably use mostly pencils for the detail on this shirt. I probably won't incorporate too much more of the blocks. Probably just use pencils from here on out. And like I said, I don't know what I'm going to do with the background. I think I might add like a white glow to it. I think it's a really bright image, so I think I might add some white. Maybe a bit of pale green to the background to kind of complement all the red that's happening in the foreground here. Maybe something like that. Michael, you had a live stream, or you have one coming up, your first live stream. I don't remember if you had it yet or not, right? If you already had your first live stream, I'm sorry I missed it. I know I mentioned that I was going to try to come to it and say hi, but I don't remember when it was supposed to be, or if you're still setting up. Any sci-fi fans among us? I guess I'm kind of into sci-fi. I guess a little bit. I'm a Star Wars fan. Not a huge one or anything, but I enjoy the movies. I guess I'm more of a fantasy sci-fi fan, like Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, that kind of stuff. Game of Thrones. I like the fantasy stuff. Okay, that's cool. So is the live stream going to be this coming weekend, like Saturday, Sunday time frame or something? All right, starting to come together a little bit. It's a bit, yeah, like I said, it's a bit oversaturated. I think I want to go for like a more deep red, a little bit deeper. This is a bit brighter than what I expected. I think partially because some of the color of the paper, it's the paper's quite bright. It's kind of that yellowish tan color, um, and it's still showing through this first layer. I almost like this pink that I used for the shadow. I almost like that a bit more. Hello, Julie. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I'm subscribed to you, Michael. I try to um, I have quite a few subscriptions, so sometimes it's hard to get to even if I get notified. Uh, I get so many notifications. It's hard to keep track of everything. I I probably should have one YouTube channel where it's just like my personal YouTube channel where I subscribe to people uh, and I watch things on that channel, and then on this channel I don't really have anything, and I don't know. It would be too much for me to do that, but yeah, it's hard. There's so many great people to subscribe to. Sometimes my subscription feed gets diluted with how much content I'm subscribed to, and a few of the things that I am subscribed to upload like you know video every day or live stream every day or something along those lines. All right, I think let's see. I'm going to start with some gray first. Let me get into this gray really quick so that I can start desaturating a bit of this color and working on some of the shadows. So I'm just going to add some of this darker gray just to kind of get the color a bit less saturated when I blend it out this second time, and build in some of my shadows over here. Right here. And I think I'm gonna adjust the color of her shirt a bit more as well, because I don't really like this orange red that it turned into. I want it a bit more purple red. So I'm gonna try this color. I'm going to try to leave some of the highlights alone so that I don't have to go back through and draw them again. Just fill in the darker spots. Hello, Yas. Hopefully the J is supposed to be pronounced with a Y instead of Joss. You'll have to let me know. It's the Polish that reason I'm pronouncing it Yas. So let me know if it is pronounced Yas or not. All right. I feel like the last couple weeks has been a bit of a struggle to find out or to figure out what to talk about. I just don't feel like there's a lot going on right now. And yeah, I'm kind of at a loss for words. So if you guys have any questions or anything that you would like me to talk about, please, just let me know. Last week I was really rambling about all kinds of stuff. I don't even remember half of it. But I don't want to be a bore. I know you guys come to my live streams for many different reasons, most of which still baffle me to this day, but try to do my best. Alright, let's see here. That's pretty good. I think the color adjustment is working out. I want to see what this color looks like on here. Oh yeah, that's a nice color. That's a good highlight color, I think. It's not as saturated, so that helps. You are not boring us. Okay, well that's good. What do I use to sharpen my Carbothello pencils? Oh goodness, I love it when people give me a reason to talk about my new pencil sharpener. So it's attached. I will unattach it just because you asked so kindly. Hold on. There. So this is my pencil sharpener. Yeah. The Helix desk mount manual crank pencil sharpener. In the United States, you can get it for around $20 or something like that, give or take like $5. I got it around 10, I think, and goodness, I love this pencil sharpener. It works so good. It's almost therapeutic to sharpen your pencils. I'm going to try to attach it to my desk again. There we go. All right. Let's see. I think I want to add some more color to this before I start blending it out. So I'm gonna add a bit more of this pink. Just kind of a light coverage over some of the highlights. That way I get a nice consistent blend between the highlights and the shadows, because I don't want the shirt to look like it's multiple colors. I want it to be one consistent color with just a subtle highlight and shadow in areas. So I'm just going to lightly add a bit of this over everything. A little bit more over here. And here. Yeah, that's good. And I think I'm going to try this purple out. This purple looks like it might work really well in the shadows. So I'm going to add just a touch of this purple in some of these darker shadow areas. There. Not too much. I don't want to do it. I don't want to overdo it. I make it look so easy. Thank you. Well, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of what to say to that. I think one of the things that makes it look like I make it look easy is what you see is different than what I see. Because when I look at my artwork, and this is probably in most cases for most people, when I look at my artwork, I see a lot of mistakes that I made. I see things that I could have corrected that I just was too lazy to correct. A lot of the things that I have completed and people really liked, I really don't like all that much. And then the pieces that I really, really like, most people just, they don't comment on it or something along those lines. Some of the projects that I've spent the most time on are the least liked, the least viewed, the least commented on, just the least of it all. So I kind of just do whatever now. But I'm glad that it looks easy, because if I can make it look easy, that just makes it seem like I know what I'm doing. And the funny thing is, I would say most of the time I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just making it up as I go. I'm in Canada. It would be I must have missed something there. I think you might be referring to my pencil sharpener. Oh yeah, you are referring to my pencil sharpener. I don't know. Canada has Amazon, right? So it shouldn't be too bad. Yeah, it's a great pencil sharpener. So, will this pencil sharpener ever get blunt, and or can you replace the rotary blade? Most likely it will get blunt, because of the rotary blade design. It's not nearly as likely to get blunt than one of those traditional, spin your pencil kind of sharpener. Because it doesn't actually have a blade. It has, the spiral design, kind of like the reverse of a screw. So it has a much stronger construction, when it comes to sharpening your pencils, and it because it doesn't put any pressure on one single part of the pencil. That's what keeps your pencils from breaking inside. So I don't know if you can replace the actual blade itself, but you can regularly sharpen it with like just a regular graphite pencil, woodless, like get a woodless graphite pencil, and you can put that in there, and that will help keep the blade clean. Oh, Stephanie, so yeah, you got the same pencil sharpener. Yeah, it's a great pencil sharpener. So in art, what things are hard or difficult for me? Is there something you find really challenging? Uh, Goodness, that's a deep question. Things that I find difficult in art. The things that I find difficult in art is, I don't want to say motivation. I don't want to say that it's to stay motivated. It's encouraged. I would say that for me, the most difficult thing about being an artist, or just doing art in general, isn't being inspired or anything like that. It's feeling. Now I forgot the word that I used. I wish I could go back and I forgot the word. Not inspired. Gosh, I'm trying to find the word again. I just had the word. I said the word. Somebody in the chat tell me what the word I said. Because that's a good question, and what was the word? I'm at a total loss right now. It's not inspired. I usually feel inspired quite a lot. Um, Encouraged. That's it. Encouraged. Yeah. Thank you, Julie. And what I mean by that is to keep doing what I do, to keep creating, because there's the art world is extremely saturated by people that by people that are discouraging, knowing that they're successful. That honestly, that's the hardest thing I deal with, because you can go anywhere and find some ridiculous painting being sold for millions of dollars, and it's like, man, why can't there be a niche in the community that offers even a fraction of that amount of financial support to people really putting in effort? And I'm not trying to say that I put in like this special amount of effort that I deserve millions of dollars. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that these kind of stories, or these kinds of events, or these kinds of people that you just can't not be aware of, being an artist, being in an art community, they get all the recognition, they get all the money, they get all the fans, support, whatever, and it's very discouraging when you only make as much as I do, and what they create it's obvious that what they create, they there's no way that they have the skill level that I do. One example, okay, so this is a specific example that was a recent thing that kind of drove me nuts. Not really. I think that's putting it a bit hard. It was just one more thing that that annoyed me. It was like one more thing that I had to deal with, or that I had to see, and I was like, that's retarded. Like, why? And it's this new documentary about Jim Carrey. Most of you probably know who Jim Carrey is. I love Jim Carrey in pretty much every movie he's ever been in. But and I respect 100% that he enjoys painting and things like that. But I've seen what he's doing painting. Literally just like throwing paint at a big canvas or something like that. And for stuff like that to be held at a really high standard of creativity and art makes me sick to my stomach. So much so that it gets a documentary. Like, it's stuff like that just is so discouraging to me. And that is what I would have to say is the hardest part of about being in art is just having to deal with so much nonsense that gets so much more attention. And I have to also stress that in no way whatsoever am I like starved for attention. I think that most people that's been following me for a long time know that I don't care if I were to get one more subscriber. I have the greatest people that come every Monday to my live streams and hang out and ask such great questions. But oh man, it is so frustrating. The other thing The other thing that I get tired of seeing is eyes. I get tired of seeing eyes. Just videos on YouTube of people drawing eyes that have like 3+ million views. Oh, that drives me crazy. I just, it's just one more tiny thing. And yeah, the feeling of discouragement. So yeah, it's tough. And I'm just being honest. I'm sure there's, people that will disagree with, my analysis of Jim Carrey's paintings and the attention that he deserves for them. But yeah, just being honest. That's what I struggle with the most. It's not being creative. It's not creating. It's nothing like that. It's, like I said, I get inspired over just about anything. I could look at a laundry basket filled with dirty clothes and just be inspired to paint something based on that. So that's the easy part for me, as far as art goes. Being inspired is very easy for me. I don't struggle with that at all. Currently, I have been kind of struggling a little bit with finding out what project I want to do next. As far as like an original piece, I've had so many ideas in the past, and I have them saved because I usually make like a Photoshop version of it, and then kind of figure out what medium I'm going to use. And I have a lot of them. I have quite a few ideas that I've been contemplating working on, but I just haven't found the right time to actually work on it. And I don't like to force myself, so I don't do that. I try not to force myself to work on something that I want to do. I try to let the motivation build up naturally, because I feel like when I have the natural motivation as opposed to the forced motivation, I do better work. I have more fun doing it, and the outcome is much better. Sorry, I was ranting a little bit, so I missed some of the chat. What was the second part of your question? Is there something you find really challenging? Yeah, so hopefully I answered your question on quite a bit. Yeah, let me see here. Yeah, I agree, Chrissy. He doesn't, people that are already famous, they don't have to work hard in art to be popular with their art. Their popularity instantly makes their artwork something good, which is disgusting. Yeah, I also enjoy his movies. He is an artist for sure when it comes to acting. That is for sure. And I would never discourage somebody from doing art simply because they're famous and sharing it. But giving him as much credit as they give him that's the part that I disagree with. All right, try to get back to this. I don't remember if I was working on it while I was ranting. I kind of blacked out there for a second. But good conversation for sure. Sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes I'm afraid to share my views about different kinds of artwork that I despise. simply because I know that some people genuinely refer to as the postmodern abstract art as like magnificent creations and stuff like that, and that's cool. I respect their opinion. I just think they're wrong. That's all. And I don't want my opinion to really bother them. But I guess I can't help that. You know, people are going to be bothered by other people's opinions, no matter how safe you try to make it, I guess. All right. Let's see. I should have had a napkin or something so I could clean off the sponge here. I'll just clean it off on my finger, I guess. Try to get rid of any of that excess dust. All right, let's see. I think I'm going to switch to just the pencils now and try to really tighten up the colors on this shirt. The only problem is I don't really feel like I have the right colors. I feel like I need to keep using my blocks because I don't quite have the colors that I want. I have the gray a little bit. I'm curious as to how well this color will work. No. That's not going to work. I'm going to try this purple here. This is the purple that I actually started with. And yeah, I was thinking about flipping the sponge, but I wanted to maximize that single side before I flipped it over. Hello, Renate. Glad to see you here. That's a good way to call it. A load of yank. I like that. I think I'm going to start using the word yank. Wait, is it yank or wank? Wank. Yeah, I like wank. That's a fun word to say. Everybody watching the live stream, just say wank out loud. It's a fun word to say. You have to agree with that. Oh yeah, I think this is the purple for me. I'm just gonna kind of add a bit of this and create the shadows. This is perfect. Yeah, this is the color I need here. So I got 1/2 of the equation, or 1/3. I still need the highlight color, but I think I have that in the pencil. I just don't have the red color for the shirt. I'm thinking maybe I probably should have done like one more layer, but I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna risk it here. Yeah, that's perfect there. Oh gosh. See what you started, Amy? Yeah, that's gonna be my new word for sure. Sounds like a goose. It does kind of sound like a goose. Oh my gosh, you guys are great. Seriously. That is fantastic. I hope my wife at work is catching a bit of this live stream chat. Sometimes she's able to sneak in and watch a little bit of the live stream. I hope she's watching this, because this is definitely going to come up later in a conversation. Because sometimes she doesn't get to hear what I'm saying, or she just gets to read the chat, so she's going to see this word wank, and just be like, what is happening? What are they talking about? And I hope that's the case today, because I would love for her to come home and be like, what is this wank word? I have no idea if wank is even a word. It sounds like it sounds like something like British English. That's what it sounds like to me. Hello, Alan. I'm glad you're enjoying. Thanks for coming by and saying hi. All right, getting some of these shadows in. The shirt is starting to come to life a bit. Yeah, good luck explaining it. That's true. It's British slang. Yeah, it sounds like British slang. Okay, so the Aussies say it as well. Oh, yeah, Steph, that's a great question. So, I'm so glad that you asked about the Patreon student tier. So, that's great. Anyways, so the student tier on my Patreon page, it does not include the prints, unfortunately. I for I when I set up my Patreon page, I decided to have just the prints for that $15 tier, and I didn't want to add too much more onto the student level one, because it was just I didn't want to overdo it. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, no, the student level one does not include the prints. Um, Goodness, kind of feel bad about it now. Hopefully that doesn't sway your decision too much as far as not signing up. But I want to make a video. Gosh, I keep saying that this live stream about wanting to make a video. I should just say that I need to make a video, or that I'm going to make a video. So I have one student right now on Patreon, and she's been a student with me for, this will be her third month. Coming up this September will be her third month, and she just sent me a piece that she completed yesterday, and with a comparison to her work that she was doing before she started as a student, and it is magnificent. Um, the amount of progress that she's made in just 2 months is insane. I'm going to make a video just showing her progress in 2 months. That means she's only had classes with me 2 times, because you get a class every month, and she went from like a 6 to like an 8 in like 2 months, and it's crazy. And so I need to make a video kind of sharing what I do on Patreon, so that more people have a better idea. And uh, right now, right now, so we're going to do a live stream together just me and her. That's how I have the classes. Basically, I just do a live stream with her on Google Hangout. We just chat, and I talk her through the piece that she wants to work on. And she wanted to do a flower, so we're going next week. We're going to be working on a flower together, and basically it's just going to be kind of like the live streams that I do over on Patreon, but it's more interactive because we get to actually talk to each other. She doesn't have to type or anything like that, and we just draw together. On Patreon, I say that it's 1 hour classes every month, but honestly, I don't think we've had a class that was less than 2 hours. Usually we hang out and talk for quite a bit. She asks, all the questions that she has, art related and things like that. And she's been a fantastic student. She always does her homework. I try to give some assignments so that you have something to practice. That way you're not just sitting there waiting for the next month's class. And as far as the classes go, because the time difference for a lot of people is going to be different, I stay flexible. Since it's only one time a month, I'm more than willing to do the live stream when you're able to do it. And if you're not able to do it at a certain time, then what I do is just record a private live stream that you can watch and rewatch. I just give you the link, and then you are the only person to have access to it. So that's kind of what I do for the Patreon student tier level on my Patreon page. And she can't say more good things about my teaching, which I always enjoy hearing. I don't know if she finds time to come to these live streams. I don't remember seeing her in the live chat for the drawing journal, but I think she probably listens to them. In which case, thanks Christine for always being a wonderful student. And so I want to make a video about my Patreon page, and I intend to share her work because the difference between the drawing she shared with me when she first started and the drawing that she shared with me last night, honestly, she drew it better than I would. So it was just that good. It was really, really fantastic to see. And it was even, I think the best part was that she credited my teaching to her progress, and I that's such a good feeling as for me, because I've always wanted to teach. Many of you already know that I was going to be a math teacher, so I was always driven to teach, and to kind of get that recognition from one of my students was fulfilling for sure. It was definitely a good feeling. So all right, let's try to get back to this drawing here. Try not to go off the hinges too much, but yeah, it was. I'm glad that you asked, and I really appreciate that you're even thinking about it. So what I recommend you do. Okay, so you finally did. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Stephanie. If you go ahead and send me a message on Facebook, I'll add you as a student. Send it to the Unmask fan page, and I can categorize you as a Patreon student, and you have 100% access to me. So feel free to message me pictures of things you're working on, ask me questions, anything like that. You have access to me all the time. You can always ask me art-related questions and things like that. And I'm happy to give you as much thorough tips as I can. And I look forward to our first class together, Stephanie. That's really great. I truly appreciate it. Thank you. All right, let's see. Darken up some of these shadows here. The shirt's starting to come together quite nicely, I think. I think I need to go just a tad darker, but what color? What color? I think I might have to try black, actually. But I'm going to blend it out first. And let's see. Let me get a bit more shadow here. There's a fold happening right here that I want to accentuate before blending out. There we go. And then underneath the hair, the drop shadow, need to get that. So Stephanie, you make the second of 4 students on Patreon. So anybody else that's watching this greatness unfold during the live stream, I only have 4 spots available for Patreon students. I'm afraid to take on any more than 4 a month, because that's at least minimum 4 hours extra a month that I have to kind of schedule and work around. So I was afraid to do any more than 4. So there's only 2 spots available if anybody else was thinking about it. Before I make the Patreon video, those spots could very well likely no longer exist by the time this live stream is over. So all right, let's see. I think I'm going to add just a bit of this down here at the bottom. There we go. Let's put that color back now. Michael, if you're thinking about starting a Patreon page, that's a good topic to get into, because I started a Patreon page, I think, when I had about 1,000 subscribers. I'd have to go back and check to see how many subscribers. Maybe 2,000. I think I had like 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers. And the best way, in my opinion, the best way to start a Patreon page is to copy somebody else's. Really. So really take the time to think about what benefits or what little pledge benefits that you create. Maybe start out with just 2, because you can always edit them later. Start with like maybe a $1 or a $2 one, and then maybe bump it up to like a $4 or $5 one, and then just start with that. And think about what you are actually able to consistently do. So one of the things that, so the first pledge that I have on my Patreon page, is just a kind of tip, like a $2 pledge, and they don't get anything. It's just, if you support what I do, if you like what I do, this is just a way that you can monthly, buy me a cup of tea, 1 cup of tea a month, basically. And then the $5 one that I offer is the weekly tutorials. So every single Friday, I do a tutorial where I offer the reference photo, the color chart, and then I live stream the tutorial every Friday. And they can join and ask questions and work along or whatever. And I usually also post like before the month ends, I usually post kind of a survey trying to figure out what people want me to do for the weekly tutorial, and then I just make it up as I go. And that's the most popular one that I have, the $5 one for the live streams and the tutorials. And all the tutorials are backlogged, so you can go through and watch old tutorials. So if you were to join at the $5 a month one, you could go back and watch any of the old tutorials that I made. And then I have the $15 one where every 2 months I send out postcard prints. But those people that do the $15 one, they also have access to all the tutorials and the reference photos and things like that. So just think about what you can create consistently and give to people. If you can't give physical things to them, for instance, I give postcards every couple months. If you can't handle like the shipping and the getting prints or anything physical, don't put that on there. Don't make a commitment that you think might not be able to work out. Keep it really simple in the beginning, and then just build your following. And then as you kind of grow, then you can make those changes. Because I've changed my Patreon page quite a bit over the years, and it was not that long ago that I changed it to what it is now. It's only been maybe less than 6 months since I made the changes to my Patreon page to make it what it currently is. So don't feel obligated, like once you make those changes, or once you set it up, like you can't make changes or anything like that. That's not the case. You can change it as you go, and I've done just that. So there's absolutely no harm whatsoever in setting up a Patreon page. There's virtually no drawback whatsoever. It's not like you have to pay to set it up. So there's really no reason not to just have one, because say you said that you only have like 100 subs or whatever, or 100 and something. Maybe one or even two of those people that subscribe to you would love to just donate $1 to you every month on Patreon. That's your first 2 patrons. I mean, that's where I started. So there's virtually no reason not to set it up, just because you only have like 150 subscribers or whatever. There's just no reason not to have it set up, if that's what you want to go towards. That's my advice. That's my best advice. If you have family members, maybe ask them to just set it up, or to set up a pledge. I've had my sisters and my brother pledge to me on Patreon for quite some time now. I think my oldest sister, she's pledged on my Patreon for so long now. I think she's over like $1,000 in donations. And I think she's at $10 a month now, depending on her situation. Sometimes she's fluctuated and things like that, but it adds up. And the more people that you have pledged, the more likely other people are to pledge. So try to get family members and friends and things like that to pledge to you. And one of the things that one of the things that I like to do is I make pledges to other artists. So I think I'm pledged to Sheldine, Lisa Lockery, and Jeff Lafferty. I've been pledged to them for quite some time. And the best part is that it kind of builds like a web, like a networking web, because we support each other. Other people kind of see them, and then they might switch over to them, or their people might switch over to us, things like that. And so I don't know how long I've been pledged to them. I've been quite some time now, but it just we each pledge to each other for a couple dollars, and it negates itself because I'm pledged to you for $1, you're pledged to me for $1, so we really don't make any extra money, but it helps their Patreon grow. So if you were to set up a Patreon and then you were to pledge to me for like $1 and I were to pledge to you for $1, people would see your Patreon page on mine. They would see that I'm pledged to you, and they might think, oh, he must make some good content or something, so let me go over there and check it out. So that's a really great way to help grow your Patreon page, is to network with other artists and support each other. Even if you're literally supporting each other for the same amount, neither of you are making any money. Actually, only Patreon's making money at that point. But it just, it helps build that relationship, that networking relationship. Alrighty then. That was a long rant. I need to pause and think for a second. I'm going to take this red. I need to accentuate this cleavage a little bit. There. I just needed like tiniest bit of that color and a little bit of dark brown, I think. I need to sharpen this. Hopefully the pencil sharpener's not too loud. There we go. That's a bit better. Now her cleavage is more clear. Looks a bit more realistic. I think I'm going to use this brown for the shadows. I don't want to go black with the creases and things in the shirt, because I think that might be overpowering it a bit. So I'm going to start with brown first and create some of those darker shadowed spots. And work in some of these creases here. Hopefully, Michael, that gave you a little bit of insight on Patreon, and anybody else that's thinking about it or has a Patreon, hopefully what I said made sense and encourages you a little bit, because when I started Patreon, I was like, goodness, my sister was the first one to pledge, and for like the longest time I just had her, pledging a few dollars every month. And gosh, I can kind of remember, I can remember the first time I got a pledge from a person that I didn't know. It was a good feeling. Like, I knew it had to have been somebody from YouTube. I was like, oh yeah, I'll support him. I like what he's doing. And it's a good feeling when you finally get to a point where you're creating something, and there's somebody out there that likes what you're doing so much that they're willing to just make a few dollar donation to you every month, even if it doesn't last forever. Because I have a lot of patrons that they've come over to my Patreon page, they signed up, they pledged for like 1 or 2 months or something like that, and then they delete it. And then, their exit survey just says that they intended to pledge for, only a short period of time. That's fantastic. I'm just as grateful to those people that I am to, the people that come over and stay a year or stay forever or whatever, because the thought is still the same, so. Well, yeah, I would have to say my family is pretty supportive. They like to brag about me a lot, I'm the brother that's a famous YouTube artist that has 12,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I moved to Poland. I live in a different country. Like, if you knew my family, I'm the one to brag about. I'm the only, let's see. So I'm the only person in my family to graduate from college. I was in the military. And I come from a small conservative town, so if you were in the military, you automatically get a gold star. I'm a professional artist, which not a lot of people can say that they do successfully. What else? Like, my dad loves to brag about me. He has a bunch of my artwork. My sisters have a bunch of my artwork. So, yeah, they're pretty supportive family. They like to brag about me a lot, and I love them for it. They're great. My family and I, we have a bit of a unique relationship, I guess you could say. We don't communicate a lot. That's what I'm trying to say. My family and I, we're very emotionally independent from one another. So we don't talk a lot, but we really care about one another for sure. My sister, my middle sister, so she's older than me but younger than my oldest, just had a baby, which I mentioned. She had a baby last month, or is it 2 months ago? It was July, so yeah. But yeah, my family has been really supportive over the years, and they're great. It's funny. I feel like when I was younger, we didn't have the best relationship with one another, but as we get older, we kind of, even though physically we're really far apart from one another, I feel like emotionally we've kind of grown closer together, because we have this innate understanding of our own childhood, and we just kind of understand what each of us has gone through growing up, and it's just been something we've connected with. But yeah, family can be a really good first supporter on Patreon. So don't discount their potential pledges, because they can be the first patron, and they can support you for a long time. Like I said, my sister Lisa, she's been pledged for the better part of a year, I think. I'd have to check, for like $5 a month. It could be as long as 2 years now, possibly. My sister Christine, I think the very first day I made a Patreon page, she's been pledged, so like even longer. My brother Ryan, he pledges for 15 because he wants the prints. He likes my artwork, so yeah, I send him prints. There's a few other people that are pledged to get prints. There's even some people that I've kind of grandfathered in a little bit as far as getting prints, because I think like I want to say last year or something like that, I had my pledge amounts kind of weird. They were a bit weird, I won't lie. They were mathematical numbers. Nobody understood them. And it was just because I was a math major in college. So I think I think the tier 1 pledge was tau. No, the tier 2 was tau. And the third tier pledge was 3E. So it was really weird numbers. And yeah, I had a few people ask me why my pledge amounts were so weird, but I never actually explained it until now. But some of those people are still pledged. And the 3E pledge was for prints. And some, I think I have 2, maybe even 3. I'd have to look. People that still pledge for the original amount for the prints, which is actually less than what the pledge is now, because I couldn't quite adjust for shipping with the prints, so I had to bump up the price a little bit. But I still send them prints. They're still pledged. They've been pledged for a long time. And even though they're not officially pledged for the 15 or the full amount, I still send them prints just because I know that they're still supporting me. And they deserve the prints if they're still supporting me. So yeah, there's a few people that fall in that category, being kind of grandfathered into the prints. So they get them even though technically they're not signed up to get them. Chat's been pretty quiet. Anybody still watching? Haven't heard much from you guys in a while. You just listen to me ramble on about stuff. Alright, trying to finish up these last little lines of brown for the shadows here. I don't think I'm gonna try to blend any more of the shirt. I kind of like the softness of it. It's pretty close to the color that I wanted. Maybe not exactly the way that I wanted it, but it's pretty close. So I think I'm gonna just keep it like that, because I think it looks pretty good. But I still have the highlights to work in. So I have one more direction to work till this shirt really starts to come to life. But I have the softness of the cloth, and that's what I really, really like. Okay, so I have a few of you still here. That's good. Okay, my voice settles your baby down. That's good to know. That's nice. I think I kind of want to upgrade my microphone. I think that might be the next piece of YouTube equipment I try to spend money on. So many people compliment the sound of my voice, which to this day is still weird to me, just so you guys know. That I think that it would be beneficial if I upgrade my microphone to something that makes my voice a bit clearer. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot I can do about the echo. I don't know if you're aware, but the building that I live in is from the 80s, and it's hurricane proof, or earthquake proof, because there's few earthquakes that come through Poland, and so it's all cement. Everything in Poland is made of cement, which makes it really hard to hang things on the wall, which is why all of our walls are bare. And so it creates a really bad echo. And I struggle with it when I'm making my videos. I try to talk a little bit softer so that there's not a whole bunch of echo, but yeah. Struggling. Oh, okay, so Wicked Illusion, you're struggling with an animal nose. Okay, I might be able to help with that. So for animal noses, they're usually yeah, they're usually surrounded by fur. In that case, that's what makes it a bit tricky. Uh, One of the things that I would recommend doing, most of the times with the animal noses, you're going to have like a really black right there in the nostrils, and you're going to have a defined shape in between the nostrils, kind of that crease, and then around the nostrils they kind of flare up like that with a black line. If you can get that kind of weird shape with the nostrils and that line that usually breaks up in the middle, if you can do that, and then use not switch out of the black to like maybe a darker gray depending on the color of the nose. If it's a pink nose, then you'll want to use like a flesh color. Do a base layer on your base color. So if it's a black nose, use like a dark gray for your base color, skipping your highlights, and then just blend it out, and that will give you a good foundation for your animal nose. Julie, you don't know how much you pledge, but you just want to support what I do. Well, I appreciate it. I think that you're pledged for 5, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to check, but okay. I'm glad that you don't hear an echo, Elise. Thanks for letting me know. Also, I try to I try to, like I said, I try to talk a bit softer so that it's not bouncing off the walls, because the echo is actually so bad in my room that if I speak up, it echoes in my own ears. Like, that's how bad it is. So when I'm going back through and editing my audio, when I'm making videos, I try to minimize the echo the best that I can, but it's pretty tough. You're welcome, Wicked. Hello, Wendy. Good morning. Oh, yes, you're right there in South Carolina, aren't you? Well, glad to hear from you, and glad that you're safe and you still have internet. Um, hopefully Irma passes by without too much destruction. So stay safe, stay dry. I'm glad that you came by to say hi. Let us know that you're doing okay. Alrighty then. So I think that's good for the shadows. Let me see, what color am I going to use for the highlight? I want a kind of a peach color, but I don't quite have it with the pencils. I'm going to try this peach color. This might, oh no, this is good. That's not too bright. Yeah, that works. So I'm just going to use this to touch up some of the highlights. This is really going to make the shirt have some extra dimension to it. Alright. Yeah, I look forward to things getting back to normal too, Wendy. I don't have TV, so I never watch any news or anything like that, but sometimes the news of the hurricane is, comes up on Facebook, or it comes up on the radio in Polish, and then Anna, she translates it for me. Seems like the United States is having a pretty bad hurricane season this year. Alright. Yeah, these highlights are really making this shirt start to look really nice. Just very subtly. I think I kind of overdid it with some of the dark creased lines, so I might try to narrow them a little bit with the red pencil, and hopefully that will help it look a bit more natural. That was my mistake. I shouldn't have went so heavy with that first pencil when I was sketching out the little creases where they're at. I probably should have been a bit more delicate with those outlines. But fortunately, it's not too bad. Adding in the highlights is helping out for sure. There we go. I'm going to grab the red, see if I can't maybe salvage some of that. Take care, Wendy. Yeah, yeah, that works a little bit. I'm gonna go over some of these lines here, hopefully make them a bit more blended into the rest of the shirt so it doesn't show up so harshly. It kind of adds like an artificial look to the drawing. Just blend those in there around the edges. There. Yeah, that's much better. All right, I think that's pretty good for the shirt. Now I just need to add the final details. All right. I'm gonna try to still have a somewhat of a conversation while I'm putting on the polka dots. This can be sometimes a tricky step, making sure that they're evenly spaced. I'm not gonna bother with the reference photo because I don't really care to make them exactly where they are in the reference photo. I can usually just make it up in my head and it will look pretty natural. I love polka dots, by the way. One of my favorite clothing patterns, polka dots. I like to just say polka dots. It's a fun word to say, just like wank. Check out these wanky polka dots. Take care, Elise. Thanks for coming by. How long have I been streaming for? I totally lost track of time. I think, so I intended to finish this up today, but I didn't realize how long I was streaming for. The chat has really slowed down, so hopefully I didn't lose too many of you guys. But I think I'm just gonna finish up the shirt today. Okay, Michael, you take care. Look forward to the live stream this weekend if you get it set up. But yeah, like I said, I think I'm just gonna finish up this shirt. I'll finish these last few polka dots and whatnot and call it a day, because couple hour live stream, I think that's a good stopping point. I didn't realize how long this was going to take. That seems to be a theme with this pastel piece here. Everything seems to be taking a lot more time than what I intended, and so I'll finish up the polka dots and call it a day. But I am super pleased with the way that this is coming out, considering it's the first pastel portrait. I definitely see where I can improve. One of the things that I see right off the bat from this experience, that I don't have the color confidence that I do with colored pencils, and that's because I don't have a color chart made for my pastel pencils and my pastels in general, just because of the sensitive nature of the pastels. I just don't think that I can hang a color chart on my wall without it, fading or just not looking right over time. So so one half of the shirt is done. Once I put the polka dot pattern over the highlights and the shadows have really, like, they've really come through. So the pattern really brought the contrast that I needed to this piece in the shirt. I'll take a picture of it this time and share it. So you'll see a picture over on Instagram and Facebook shortly after the live stream. So I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream up to this point. It was so much fun today, even though I struggled for a little bit figuring out what to talk about. You guys are always so helpful when it comes to asking questions and stuff like that. And I'm super grateful that all of you guys come by and hang out with me while I create. And hopefully you guys learned a few things and whatnot and enjoyed the stream, because it's always a good Monday for me. It really is. So many people complain that the weekend's over and that Monday's here, but goodness, I look forward to Mondays. I love hanging out with you guys and just chatting and creating together, and just really appreciate all of you for all your kindness and experience that you share with me and stuff like that. I certainly don't say that lightly. I really mean it. So hopefully I continue to make videos that you guys enjoy to watch, and continue creating things you like to see. Almost done with the polka dots here. Just a few left. There we go. Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, I think that's good for the shirt. Yeah, I'm glad I got the shirt done at least. Next time, try making the portrait so the first you turn your reference photo to black and white, and then you make the drawing in color and only check the contrast values from the black and white picture. That sounds like a fun thing to do. I might just try that. Thank you, Amy. Yeah, that way I don't find any specific color, but try to rely on the contrast. I like that idea, Anna. Yeah. I think I might try to do that next time. Yes, your contribution to the day was definitely wank. I love it. I'm gonna be saying that word for the rest of my life because it's so fun to say. All right, everyone. That's gonna be it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the live stream. I really did. So I will try to put out another video this week, but I really want to try to focus on the color pencil course and definitely get some work done there, and hopefully have that ready for everyone by the end of the month. So I know a lot of people have been real excited about it, and I don't want to let them down. So I will see you guys for sure next Monday. So everybody take care, and for those of you in the United States on the East Coast, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Peace.